quickly, for those people who were already logged in and following along for that 12 to 13 minutes or so, my phone overheated and I was just going off on just mad rabbit trails. And so let me just bring it back, because I'm not going to be able to sit this on the stand and just ramble on until I get my point out. I'm going to have to make this point quickly and continue on with my things for the day. So, thank you all for tuning in. And the encouraging message for today is as follows: just like that, it can turn. Just like that, it can turn. Look at your neighbor and say, just like that, it can turn. Tell him it can turn. It can turn. It can turn. It can turn. So the encouraging message for today is inspired by some of my reading throughout the past week. I've been able to really dive all the way into my Bible in 1 year in the past week or so, which is just always so good. It's just always so good the way you have no control over what is already written on those pages for that day on that date. And you just open it up, and the revelation and the encouragement just pours right in, and the Lord starts to reveal himself and talk to you about your life and situations and give you instruction, just because you took the time to read those passages that were allotted for that day, for that month in the Bible in 1 year. And then also on Friday night, this past Friday night, I found myself watching the movie Just Mercy again. And I was so super encouraged. And I saw the underlying theme that I believe, God had been showing me in his word and encouraging me with over the past, really over the past month. As many of you know, it's my birthday month. Today's the 27th. So I had a birthday celebration 20 days ago, and I am adamant about spending my birthday month celebrating and praising God by enjoying every moment that he's blessed me with during my birthday month. It's just a thing for me. Y'all know how we do. So today I'm out enjoying the day, since today's a holiday and I am not scheduled to work my regular job. So I am working my business right now by being on here sharing with you. I'm working my gift and my calling today, and I am enjoying relaxing and resting myself. And so in the midst of that, I wanted to stop and encourage y'all that just like that it can turn. So I was watching the movie Just Mercy on Friday night, and I don't remember all of the names of the characters and the people at the moment, but I know that the gentleman, Mr. Jimmy Lee, had been falsely accused and convicted and put on death row for a crime that he did not commit. And the young lawyer had come through and, been inspired, motivated, prepared, and equipped to fight for some of the people on death row who were just simply getting a bad rap and just a bad situation that they did not deserve to be in. But I thought about it when we got towards the end of the movie. When I got towards the end of the movie, how Mr. Jimmy Lee, the guy who had been convicted, at the beginning, he had to be convinced to fight for himself, to fight for his life, and to allow this lawyer to help him to fight. He had to be convinced. The young lawyer had to go so far as to visit his family, to convince his family to go with him on this journey and do everything that they could to work together and to get this man off of death row, because he did not deserve to be there. He didn't deserve to be in jail at all. And I saw how throughout the progression of the movie, Mr. Jimmy Lee consented to being represented and to going through all of the things that he would have to go through in order to get his child back in front, get his situation, his case back in front of a judge. And to do all that they did to prepare for that, and then to get in front of the judge and still experience a disappointment, still experience a setback, still experience what looked like the end for him again, which was a terrible blow. He had to be convinced to try. He did all he could to try. He cooperated. I'm sure he had to believe that, God had sent this young lawyer to him that was willing to take his case and do all of this work, put his own life on the line, free of charge, in order to get him off of death row because he did not deserve to be there. What I noticed throughout the progression of the movie was that even though they went through all of what they went through, and when they got to court, in that first time when they got there, they were defeated. The judge was unjust again. The judge had no interest in providing another opportunity for this case to be brought before the courts, no matter how much evidence they had, no matter how much they had proven that y'all put a fully innocent man in prison. And not only did you put him in prison, you put him on death row. This is not right. They were defeated in court. For those of you who've seen the movie, you already know. One of the things that sticks out to me was that after they were defeated in court, Mr. Jimmy Lee, the same guy who had to be convinced to fight for himself, this time he didn't have to be convinced to try again. He didn't have to be convinced to give it another shot. He didn't have to be convinced to keep fighting. But the second go round, he had a whole nother sense of motivation, because his motivation was that he knew that regardless of what they did to him, that the world had been shown that he was actually innocent. He knew that even though the judge that they first went before was not willing to see his case again, and that he could possibly end up being killed for a crime that he did not commit, he had the satisfaction of knowing like who he actually was. He had the satisfaction of knowing that not only was he innocent, but he had proven it to the world, regardless of whether or not this judge was willing to see his case again, whether or not this judge was willing to work with him to bring his case up before the court and to go through the whole trial and all of that stuff again. So even after that blow, he was still encouraged. But what I thought was just like such a motivational and encouraging thing was how at the end, the person who was his enemy, the opposing lawyer who was his enemy, how God actually used or spoke to or turned the heart of his opposition in order to basically have him end up being freed, have him end up being released without even having to go back through court, without even having to go back through a trial. So where it looked like he had done all of that for nothing, has suffered another major disappointment after trying his hardest, after putting himself out there again, it looked like it was just over for him. Because he did not quit, and because those around him who were working for him did not quit, because his lawyer, who was his advocate at that time, did not quit, because his lawyer was convinced, because his lawyer was willing to go and man, y'all be making me so nervous with these kids in these parking lots. Y'all be making me nervous. Like, please, ma'am, hold your baby hand. But anyway, his lawyer didn't quit. His lawyer was willing to go and speak to the opposing attorney. His lawyer was willing to stand before people who wanted to end him because he was doing what he was doing for this man for free. Because his lawyer didn't quit. His lawyer went and spoke to the opposing attorney and the opposing parties. And It looked like the lawyer was defeated at the time too, because the people in the opposing party were not saying, okay, yes, sir, we'll do what you say. They continued on the path that they were on. But when they got to court and when it really mattered, the opposing attorney had the power in his hands to say, you know what? We're also going to go along with the motion that this entire case be dismissed. Nobody expected that. The main hope that they had was just to buy more time and to do more work in order to get this guy's case to go up in front of whatever judge, whatever jury it had to go up in front of, so that they would actually look at the evidence and say, you know what, we don't have enough to put this man in jail for the rest of his life, or to put him to do capital punishment on him. We don't have enough. That was what they wanted. They were willing to work and do everything that was possible. But at the end of it, what ended up changing history and what ended up allowing this innocent man to go free is that the opposing party had a change of heart. The opposing party had a change of mind. The opposing party was impacted by the integrity. The opposing party was impacted by the love, by the dedication, by the humanity of other people, in order to agree with the motion that the case was dismissed. And the gentleman, Mr. Jimmy Lee, was released from prison. Now, just like that, it turned. Just like that. After years of being falsely accused, after years of no one listening, after years of no one caring, years of covering up all of the things that were being done that were corrupt in the justice system, it turned. Just like that, it turned. Now, how does that relate to what I was saying that I read in my 1 year? I was reading in my 1 year Bible. So right now, it's going through 1 Samuel, and really, if I was up to date on it, it might be in 2 Samuel by now. I don't know, but anyway. So where it came in for May, which I thought was very interesting, towards like the middle part of May, it's in First Samuel, and the story is of David, and it starts to talk about like how David was trained, you know, out in the wilderness, shepherding, being a shepherd, and then how David was just so sure and so confident in himself, because God had made him that way. God had trained him, that he was able to just kind of walk up on all of the people that were formally trained to fight, and be like, you know what, I can't even use the tools y'all use, because I'm not used to those, and those are kind of big. Those don't fit me. None of this. I'm not used to how y'all do things. But this is what I do have. And if y'all would just move out the way, I believe that God will give me what I need to defeat this giant. So throughout the story, if you read in 1 Samuel, and you know, throughout the story of David, before he actually was physically crowned King David, there were just so many situations, so many ups and downs, so many places where things looked like they were about to go one way, but they went another way. Or it looked like everything was going to be okay between him and Saul, but then Saul would flip out and change on him, and that the evil spirit would come upon Saul and make him try to kill David. Or, you know, he would do his battle, he would serve very well, and, you know, give glory, you know, to the king, and just pretty much be a humble dude. Saul wasn't feeling him because of what Saul had going on within himself. And it was just so many things, so many ups and downs in 1 Samuel when you read about the life of David before he was actually the king. But one of the stories that really sticks out for me is the story of how he was in hiding, and how he went to, what's the man's name? Lord, I done forgot the man. Is it Nabal? How he went to Nabal, and you know how him and his men had been really good to Nabal's. Is that man's name Nabal? The Nabal's servants, and how see y'all gonna make me hold on. I'm gonna have to pull it out because I'm messing up names and stuff. How he had been really good to Nabal's servants. Nabal's shepherds helped to make sure that no enemies took Nabal's possessions. He was just really good to the dude's people. And you know, since he was who he was, and he was doing good by the gentleman, he needed food. He needed food for his men. And he had gone and asked, he wanted the man to send some food for him. But instead of sending some food for him, the man insulted him. And I'm about to pull it up right now. Because I don't want to mess up no names. And for whatever reason, because I'm going off the top of my head, the names are escaping me. So give me a second. Because I have a copy. This is a different one, though. I have two, I think, one-year Bibles. One is in the NIV, and this one is ESV. So that I don't have the highlights in this one, because this isn't the one that I have been using the past week. But it's the one that I had on me. Hold on. I'm about to tell you right now. It was, and I'm almost done. That's the good thing about this. I am taking forever to tell y'all right now, but I'm almost done. Somebody tell me in the chat who's watching. What was Nabal's wife's name? I know the lady name. This is just something that it happens sometimes. I done lost the lady name. It was it's in 1 Samuel. Y'all know the story. He went and asked Nabal, who was a rich but foolish man, to send him some food, and the man basically cursed him. Okay, here it is. Abigail was Nabal's wife. So, the story of how David had sent word to Nabal and asked if Nabal would send him and his people some food. But Nabal was a fool, and he was full of pride, and he literally was just like, who is David? And pretty much cursed David. Like David and his men can kick rocks. Who are they to think that I'm going to send them food? Like, why would I send my stuff to David? Who's David? For all I know, oh Lord, I'm so nervous because this lady beside me is not driving very well. And I know we all have our moments, but ma'am, hold on. Because do I need to move? Okay, no, I think she got it. She got it. I think we're going to make it. She going to make it out. Possibly. Okay, she got it. All right. Nabal was like, I'm not sending David my food. He out his mind. But David then got very angry, and David was about to go and do some damage, and he was about to pretty much kill not only Nabal but his entire household. Everybody was gonna get it because Nabal was a fool. But even though Nabal was a fool, he had a beautiful wife who was also wise and who also had great temperance. So she was able to negotiate. She was able to think, to be a forward thinker and do something wise that was going to help David to calm down before he did something crazy. He was going to help David to calm down, and pretty much saved herself and the rest of their people. because she was wise. And so that was another space where I thought about just like that, how it can turn, how you really can be about to mess up royally. You can really be about to just screw something up real bad, and it's going to impact not only you but your entire family line. But how God can intervene and work it out in your complete entire favor and good. So it goes from David being on his way to go and kill Nabal or unalive Nabal and unalive their entire clan and all of the people, including the wives and the children, to David calming himself because Abigail met him, took the food, and asked for mercy. God dealt with Nabal because not only did Nabal curse David, he cursed God. He cursed the one that David represented. So just like that, it turned. It was going one. It was about to go one way, or it looked like it was about to go one way. But just like that, it turned. And so I want to encourage you today, for whatever situations are happening in your life, or whatever ways in which you are contending for faith, you're believing God for certain situations in your life, or even if you are just contending for just your faith in general. When we look around us in this world, if we go off of what we see alone in a lot of situations, it can really make it hard to believe that God is who he says that he is sometimes, if we are just looking through our natural eyes. But my encouragement to you today, and I hope you will hear and see and know me and my words by my spirit and by the spirit from which I operate. My encouragement to you today is to tap into whatever it is that God is saying to you. Not the emotion of it, because our emotions about things truly go up and down based upon so many things. Our emotions, they just, they're not good dictators of what our decision should be. They may be good indicators of what is happening within. And we should take a note of and pay attention to what is happening within. But at the same time, we also need to be able to really dig deep, or really, sometimes it's not even a matter of digging deep. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting quiet enough to make that differentiation between what our emotions are telling us and what God has spoken to us that we need to stand in and stand on. And sometimes, like thinking back to the movie Just Mercy, I think the good example that we see from that is that they didn't know that situation was gonna work out the way it worked out, but they dared enough to ask that the case be dismissed, knowing that in the situation that they were in, that was a ridiculous ask. That was a ridiculous thing for them to even think to ask, because it just didn't seem like there was no way that would happen. But they did ask, and it ended up being granted in a way that no one could have seen coming. So my encouragement to you is the same. Like, especially when there are things that we have contended for, things we have fasted for, things we have prayed for. Sometimes it's even just direction from God on how to minister to someone, direction from God on how to pray for someone, how to approach certain situations, how to respond to certain things. Sometimes it just seems like, I really have done all I can. I don't even know what else to say or what else to do when it comes to this. Sometimes that's the point that God is waiting for us to get to, where we're just like, you know what? After I have done all I can do is stand. Another encouragement I want to give to come to mind off of the phrase, just like that, it can turn, is that just like that, God can turn your heart. Just like that, God can change your mind. It seems just like that to us because it almost happens in an instant sometimes with certain things. But God has been working on each of us all along. Everything that has happened in our lives up until now, um, God has intended to work out for our good. And there's no way I could get into the details or the nuances of what that is like for each and every one of us. And that's not to minimize anything bad or negative or traumatic that anyone has been through. But if we're going to live like we believe what the scripture says, that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. That means nothing in your life has been without purpose. Nothing in your life has to be wasted. God has been working in your heart and in your mind even up until now. No matter who you are, what you have done, haven't done, have experienced, haven't experienced. And in all that God has been working in each of us, we can rest in knowing that just like that, it can turn, whatever it is. But I think if we can grab a hold to it being our own hearts and minds and our own perspectives, taking a shift, having a turn, we will really be able to find hope, and we will really be able to find the tenacity that we need for longevity. Oftentimes we are being prepared for long haul types of things in temporary situations. You know, some of the core memories that we have, some of the core ingredients of our unique personalities, the way God has built each of us up to be, and even some of the things that maybe we've experienced that have distorted or that have tainted what God originally built. Even those things don't have to be wasted. God can use those things in so many ways as he conforms our hearts and our minds to his will and to his ways. God can use even those places where we have experienced breaches or traumas or disappointments or disobedience or setbacks. Any of those things, God can still use those things and turn those things for good if we will if we will just commit to him and to the process. If we will commit to ourselves and doing that healing work. And a part of the healing work is learning how to just let go and let God. A part of the healing work is learning how to rest in God. If we will commit to that, we will just turn around and walk up on that change or that breakthrough that we have been looking for. And oftentimes, the main foundation of some of the things that we're wanting to see in our lives are kind of, I want to say, rooted in or wrapped around what is happening within. It's almost like I caught a visual just now in a way of, like, I don't know, like, think about like your soul. Oftentimes when we try to think of a physical place to touch, like when we talk about a person's heart, even though we're talking about it figuratively, we will touch our chest where our heart is. We know we're not actually talking about the organ where the blood pumps, but we're talking about the actual, our heart, our mind, our will, our emotions, our soul, all of the things that are connected to the way we are positioned within. But when we think of the soul, a lot of times people will touch the stomach area, like kind of like the pit of your being, the stomach area. So the visual that just kind of came to me when I was talking and thinking of a way to describe this is kind of like tethers, like extensions that come out from your core that are connected to your outside, your external experience. So like your core is within you, but the things in your life that you want to see change usually are in some way connected to your external experience. And so the visual that I saw just now was that as God is turning and changing you, turning and changing me, turning and changing each of us within our souls, in our core. As he is turning that, we will begin to see our external situations turning as well. So if you can catch a picture of that, of like maybe God's hand turning turning you on the inside, turning your soul to its proper position, turning your soul to its proper perspective. As he is turning that and we're allowing him to change us inside, that there are tethers to our outside world that will begin to change as well. We'll start to see the outside changing as he's changing the inside. So, that's not to say, we have to do all of these different works in order to make that happen. The main thing is surrender. So the work that we do, be that fasting, be that prayer, be that consecration, be that, worship, whatever it is, whatever those things are that cause us to surrender our will to God, whatever those things are that we do unto God, those things are helping us to see things from a God's eye view. Those things are helping us to put God back on in his proper place as the king on the throne of our lives. So when we think of it that way, it's not like, oh, if I do some more fast, then such and such will happen. Or if I didn't pray long enough. No, it's that you're doing fast and that you are praying and that you're consecrating yourself so that you can be focused and so that you can surrender. You're forcing your flesh to submit. But even above the things that we physically can do, all of those things are just to tune our hearts to the work that God is actually already doing within us so that we can cooperate, basically, so that we can work with God along the lines of what he's already doing in our lives, how he's already providentially orchestrating all of the things that he wants to do in our lives, because ultimately those things are to bring him glory and to bring people to him, so that we can enjoy God, so that we can enjoy life and that more abundantly. One of the things that sometimes people struggle with when it comes to faith is that, like, if the only thing God has us on this earth for is just to worship him and give him glory, then why does he have us down here going through all of this? Why didn't he just take everybody to glory as soon as they became, saved or became Christians? That's a lot of times that is a disconnect that people struggle with. And, we all may have some different philosophies or perspectives on that. But, I believe that a part of glorifying God is enjoying the good gifts that he's given us in this life. When the psalmist said, I will remain confident that I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. It is completely godly to desire that. So if the goodness of the Lord is healing in your body, if the goodness of the Lord is provision for your life and for your family, if the goodness of the Lord is proper alignment with the right people so that you can walk out life in community, because after all, the Bible tells us it's not good for a man to be alone. If experiencing the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living is teaching us how to think, giving us a right perspective on the things that we do experience in life, it is completely godly to ask for that and to seek for that and to expect God to show up in our lives. We can't just tell people to pray and to surrender to God and then make them feel bad. Try to make them feel guilty, try to gaslight them for wanting good things. We all do. We all want good things. And even in those places where we may seek comfort in the wrong places, we are ultimately, beneath the surface of all of that, seeking to satisfy basic human needs. Like, we didn't create ourselves. So there are some basic human needs that we want to satisfy, all of us. And sometimes we find ourselves trying to satisfy those basic human needs the wrong way. And in that space is where God draws our attention back to him, so that we can seek him to meet those needs in the proper way, at the proper time, in ways that point us back to his goodness, that point us back to his purpose, that point us back to his divine plan for our lives. So that's all I want to say today. Think about that, how that may apply to your life. Just like that, it can turn. It can be a situation that just seems like it's never going to change. And just like that, it can turn. It could be something in you that seems like you're just never going to be able to change, that you have done so much trying and striving and crying and praying, and just like that, it can change. God can allow for his grace to impact our lives in ways that we would have never seen coming. And just like that, it can turn. Just like that, it can turn. Not because of any goodness of our own, but just because God is good. And because he is way more brilliant than any of us could ever be. And he has a way. And as the songwriter said, it is mighty sweet. And we could never outthink him. We could never outcreate him. We could never out surprise him when it comes to the beautiful way that he can orchestrate things in our lives. So I hope you're encouraged by that word today. I am, to know that no matter the situation, in the hands of God, just like that, it can turn. All right, happy Memorial Day, or blessed Memorial Day. I mean, they say, we know Memorial Day is to commemorate those who sacrifice themselves in their lives for our country. So we commemorate on this day, on this Memorial Day, and I hope that you enjoy a blessed day of rest, encouragement, and if you are out working, may the Lord add increase to that money that you making. Make that money, honey. Do what you got to do. All right. I hope you all enjoy this message. I hope it's encouraging to you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.